Hey guys, welcome to episode 154 of Meeple to Meeple. It's the 11th in my community content creator community series. So thanks for joining me. My guest today lives at the crossroads of social content, tabletop gaming, and audio storytelling. I'm really excited for you guys to hear this conversation. He brings a very special wit and insight and an infectious energy that I am so jealous of to everything from life reflections to board game breakdowns. He has recently built a devoted following by being unfiltered, curious, and deeply rooted in the world of modern tabletop. Just a true gem in the community. Here's the thing though, he isn't just playing games, he talks about them. He's been featured on board game podcasts such as Board Game Hot Takes, where he dives into his favorite dice mechanics. He's also growing his own podcast ambitions, aiming to bring the same worth and authenticity to the mic that he brings to the table. So today, we're going to tap into those threads, his path from gamer to content creator to tabletop guru of podcast magic, what inspired him to lean into the podcast, the stories behind his favorite games, and what's next in the universe of Rolling Reggie. Reggie, thanks for joining. How are you, man?
I'm doing all right. Thank you. Oh my gosh. It's like when you're at your birthday party and everybody's singing happy birthday to you and you just have to smile and like, please stop saying nice things. Please stop being good to me. I can't handle it. I'm doing great. Thank you. So excited to be here. You have picked some amazing folks, like a lot of my favorite people in the hobby and some people I haven't met. So I'm very excited to learn about them when I listen to.
So by the way, Merry Christmas.
Yeah.
As Christmas has just passed and we've got the new year to look forward to. I am happy to say that by the time that we've recorded this, I've decided this is probably going to be the permanent direction of the podcast. Early in the series, I've had some amazing responses, and I've had people, you want to talk about humbling? So humbling. Recently, I've had several people who asked to be on my show. Like, what? You know, people actually are listening. And y'all want to join me? This is incredible. But enough about me. Let's talk about you, Reggie.
Awesome. No, you are awesome, and that is great. There's no better feeling like going to like a convention. Someone's like, "Hey, Rolling Reggie." I'm like, "Why do you know me? Like, please, here's a sticker." But it's that feels good. Yeah,
that's the content creator obligation. Have a sticker. Got to give everyone a sticker.
I mean, I give away one or two every convention because I'm like, if you are really going to go out of your way to say hello to me, you are an awesome human being, and I appreciate it, and it warms my heart. And people DMs. That's the thing about we'll talk about this, but just everybody feels so approachable. You know, it's like people feel comfortable sending you a DM and saying, "Hey, like I'd love to be on your show. Your show is awesome." You know, I feel like it's not that way in a lot of industries or communities either. You know,
no, it's definitely not. One thing I struggle with.
Yeah.
You are. Whereas I've been doing this for almost 4 years, so just every week. But I always think about the problem is that I haven't. So when I'm at a convention, nobody comes up to me and we're like, "Oh, you're from Meeple to Meeple," or "Oh, you're the Cajun Gamer," which is separate from the podcast. But no one recognizes me. So I always think about having like a catchphrase. If you see me at Gen Con or insert your favorite convention, I'll have like a special thing to give away to the first person, right? And maybe that's what I need to do to get people to come up to me and be like, "You rock."
Yeah, I have stickers. I always have stickers. You got to do. I have friends everywhere. You know, have a little secret passcode. Yeah, that'd be great. I also have one thing at conventions. I always have Coloretto. Are you a fan of Coloretto? Do you know that game?
I'm aware of the game. I've never played the game, so
it's small
I don't know.
Box, like this big, great little drafting set collection game from like 2003, and I love it so much. And I just always have it. It's just one of those. I brought it to my very first convention, and I just always have it to bring out because it's just so easy to teach and play So if you ever see my convention, we can play Coloretto together.
Coloretto. Okay. So here's the problem, and we're going to get this out of the way early in the episode. Everybody knows my favorite board game is Obsession. And so the one request I usually get is people want to play Obsession with me. I can't pull that out of my pocket.
Yeah, I'm sorry. It's too much, too many meeples in there. It's too big.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I've actually never seen it in real life. It's hard to find. It is tough to get your hand on. I've played it on Board Game Arena several times. I think it's really cool, but
Yes,
I really want to. I feel like I would enjoy it way more if I played it IRL with accents and
top hats and a tuxedo.
Yeah.
Oh, man, you got it. So, Reggie, let me ask you. I've been starting this conversation with this question, asking to everyone, what was the first board game you ever played as a kid?
Wow, that's a great question. I mean, if you count chess, I mean, my dad taught me chess pretty young.
Yeah.
But like, I have very distinct memories of like Sorry and Trouble. You know, anything that you just moved around, the little Pop-O-Matic are probably when I was a little kid. And then but I played all the big mainstream games. I've talked about this in many videos of like, I loved Monopoly, I loved Clue, I loved Risk. Like those were the games that kind of, I thought that was all board games could be. And I always thought they were fine. You know, I enjoyed them. But when I got older, I was like, why would I ever go back to board games? Like that's the ceiling, you know? But it was fun. I always think about, I feel like people do hate on Monopoly a lot. And I just made a dedicated video on it like not too long ago. And like me and my mom and my sisters, especially, we would always have our like, what was your piece in Monopoly? You know, I think I was the top hat. Actually, speaking of top hats, I think my mom was always like the iron, and my sister took the dog. And it's just like there's so many cultural touch points to it. As much as we want to hate on it now, like we all had some good memories as kids playing Monopoly.
It's true, but I think that those early classics are the reason why we as gamers today in the hobby struggle with when we meet non-gamers. You know, they think they're just toys, they're for kids, and they don't. Because like you said, you were going to grow up. Why would I play these games again? Little did you know.
Little did we. Yeah, that's a great. I mean, I have so many aha moments like that I'm sure we can get to in this episode here too, where I was like, what? Board games can do this? Yeah.
Well, you know, we're going to talk about that because that's my next question. So first you said chess, Sorry, Trouble. There was no surprises there. I'm always interested in my next question.
Okay.
I get some interesting answers. So what was the first board game that got you into the modern game hobby?
Okay. So, you know, without giving the full history, I do like to talk about the modern game that really hit me.
Yes.
There's two that I could answer, and one that everyone knows if you watch my top 10, it's King Domino is one of my big ones.
Okay,
was a modern game that really blew me away. And I gave the whole story on the Punchboard Cathedral podcast. Kenan, someone you know.
Yep.
Him and Alba, we did this. And it's beautiful. I really just encourage you to go listen to that, actually. But the thing about King Domino that blew my mind, especially when we talk about these games we just talked about, Monopoly, Risk, Clue, Sorry. First and foremost, it was a board game that we were playing at a board game cafe. My girlfriend at the time, now wife, always known as Her Majesty the Queen, you know, to bring out the Obsession vibes as well.
Yes.
We were sitting down and playing at a board game cafe. And they said, it's a game that won some German board game award. And they put it down in front of us and there's no board, you know? And I was like, wait, how are we playing a board game with no board? And like Carcassonne had been out at this point. This is 2016 when King Domino came out. So like at this point, Carcassonne's been out for 15, 16 years, right? But I hadn't experienced it. And I was like, okay, so let's see what we do. Then they told me that when you draft your tiles, sometimes that's going to change the turn order. And now I might take 2 turns in a row. And my wife took 2 turns. And I was like, you know, when I was a kid, the craziest thing they could do is the turn orders would go clockwise. And if they wanted to be wild, they'd go counterclockwise. There was never like turn order drafting, which I have found I love, love, love. And then the biggest thing was that you started learning it was a game that you started playing it and drafting the tiles, and then you started learning like, oh, wait, I am actually paying attention to what my opponent is taking in front of that. Like hate drafting and also just knowing what's left face down. There was just a lot of things that way that just kind of blew my mind with King Domino. It was just something I really, really loved. But what predates King Domino, actually, if I'm being honest,
Okay.
my first job out of college, I'm working at a university, and I have a coworker named Emily, and she has a partner named Jeff. And Jeff he has like a vision impairment. Like he's legally blind. He could barely see he's very, very, very light visuals. He would totally be a PC video game guy if he had, if he did not have an impairment, right? But he could play board games, and he played miniature games because the tactility of it, he's able to participate in board games and enjoy it like that, right? So I knew that about him. I'd never really played a lot of board games. And so I asked him, I said, hey, I'm having a game night. It's my first apartment. I have like 8 people coming over. And he's like, oh, wow, that's a lot of for a game night, which I know now it's like, once you get over 4, like you're pushing it with games. Yep. So he handed me a game called Bang the Dice Game. Have you ever played this one?
Yes. As a point of fact, that was one of Gareth, my partner in the podcast. That was one of his first games.
Really?
And,
wow. I have it right here with me because I'll show you. Bang the Dice Game here. We're looking at it here. And I have one expansion in here. You can kind of see my corners are like beat up on this for the visual watchers. This is the same copy I bought like immediately after that weekend. And me and my buddies, my close friends, referred to as the dads, every time we get together on a weekend, we will always make sure we sit down and play at least one game of this just for the nostalgia. Yeah. And it's got a Yahtzee mechanism. That's true. Yahtzee is another game I loved as a kid.
Oh, yes.
Which was roll and lock is what you would know that mechanism. Now, and that is just, it's like Yahtzee, but battle Yahtzee, but also with werewolf because you're trying to figure out who's the deputies, who's the outlaws, and that game. And I think the thing that really blew me away was a lot of people tried to get me into board games before Bang the Dice Game, but the asymmetry was actually the thing that I was like, wait, we all have special powers in a board game? That really, really shocked me. And I really loved that about it. So yeah. Bang the Dice Game.
Oh, yeah. Yep. I love it. And so I'm listening to you, Reggie, and you're just like, okay, so Bang the Dice Game, King Domino, right? Like the list just keeps going. No, there's really something magical about the asymmetrical nature of board games. That's so different from when we were growing up with Sorry and Trouble, etc.
Exactly.
So tell me, here's the controversial question. Let's get it out of the way real quickly. What's your favorite player color?
Oh, that's that's not controversial at all. Yellow. I've always been yellow. I play yellow every time. If you want to be yellow and you're at a table with me, I will most likely move your meeple accidentally. It's just going to happen.
Yep.
So yeah, I like yellow. I do like gray, which is weird. But if a game has gray, I really do gravitate towards that. Emotep, Babylonia, those come to mind. And then like Creature Comforts has gray and yellow, which is like, and Pan Am. And I'm like, my only 2 colors. Yeah. So yeah, yellow. I feel like it's more popular. What's your color? You're
no,
purple.
Purple.
Nice.
I'm purple. Yeah. And I've told that story so many times. It goes back to my days at undergrad at LSU.
Go Tigers.
Go Tigers.
Shout out to Shaq.
Yep. I bleed purple and gold.
Nice.
Also, Mardi Gras, purple, green, and gold. So it's like, first I'm purple. My wife is usually gold. But if there's a pink, she's going to be pink. So if I can't be purple, then I'll be gold. But if I can't be purple and I can't be gold, then I'll be green. But usually you can't be green. So then it just kind of, it falls apart after that.
Yeah, there's a tier list. I like to be orange if there's none of my colors, I'll throw like a random color out there. But yeah, my buddy, one of my closest buddies, Joey, he's also a purple player. So purple's always taken. He loves purple.
Yeah. It's a color of royalty.
Yeah.
Color of the Bayou Bengals.
So out here it's UW in the a lot of people where I grew up are big Husky fans. The University of Washington.
Which is purple and
which
gold
is also purple.
well.
Yeah. So that's why.
Yep. So yeah.
Nice.
So for our international audience, Reggie is talking about the University of Washington. That is the state of Washington in the Pacific Northwest, which you might know by another name, Cascadia.
Cascadia. There you go. That's how we get board gamers to know U.S. geography.
That's
But also not to be confused with Washington, D.C. This is not the capital. This
Correct.
is very, very far away. I know you talked to one of my good friends, Iris, Crimson Board Games.
Yes.
And she lives in the Netherlands, and we talk all the time, my board game bestie. And literally explaining to her the size of the United States and driving, you know, I did a video with Chaz Marler. He's Game Night Picks. We live in the same state, and we're about 2.5 hour drive away. And we did, you know, so it is, it's just how it is.
It's really funny because, and I promised Iris that I was going to make fun of her with you while we talked about this. Because when she was on earlier in the series, she was talking, I think I was asking her about another player in the Netherlands, and she's like, that's a 45-minute drive.
That's nothing.
So far.
Man. And you have public transportation?
Right.
And you have bikes?
No. Good
good, functional, clean.
Yes.
But you have nothing to complain about Europeans.
That's right.
Yeah, it's so funny. Yeah.
It is really interesting, the perspectives that we all bring to the table. Yeah. I mean, because like I'm in the middle of Illinois, and I am 3.5 hours from Chicago. I mean,
that's crazy. Same state. And people are like, wait, what?
Same state. Yeah.
That is such an interesting. Well, I will say, do you have any so are you from Louisiana?
I am. I am from Baton Rouge, born and raised. Yep.
Are there any games that like represent your region, like where you grew up, or like did you have a lot of pride in because they're like located there?
You know, it's really interesting. There's one game that I absolutely love by Weird Giraffe Games, and that's Big Easy Busking.
Yeah, I've played that. I've actually played that game. Yeah.
I will tell you that they captured the feel of going in the French Quarter, the different colors, the listening to the buskers on the street corner, or in the case of the game, you actually are the buskers trying to get money. But like, they really captured the feeling. There's nothing...
Great colors in that too. Like, it's very vibrant. Yeah.
Absolutely. Nothing about Baton Rouge proper, but you know, Baton Rouge is...
Isn't there a game also called French Quarter?
There is.
Rolling Right. Yeah.
That's an interesting... That's 25th Century Games.
Yeah, okay.
That's an interesting game. They packed a lot into a roll and write, and while they got a lot of things right, they got a lot of things wrong.
Yeah.
But you know what? If you've never been in New Orleans, you wouldn't know the difference, so it's fine.
For sure. Yeah,
when I went to England for England. When I went to England for the first time, I met Gareth, and he pulled out French Quarter, and we played it. I had to explain to him what a second line is.
Okay, which is
so a second line is a funeral procession that's usually led by a rambunctious jazz orchestra.
Yes, right. I have seen these.
Particularly, all right, because you see it on TV all the time. To be honest, it's mostly amongst the African American and Caribbean communities.
Yeah.
It's
more of a celebration of life, you know, than like a depressing funeral. Yep.
You do see second lines in like after weddings. Like you'll have a jazz band lead the wedding party and all their guests from the church to the reception hall.
Wherever. Yeah, it's gonna be. Yeah.
So you see that. The other concept of the second line, our Mexican neighbors with Dia de los Muertos, and another good board game is Patsquara, which captures that really well.
Ofrenda's coming out here soon too. That looks beautiful about Dia de los Muertos. Yeah.
So there's always the procession to the grave sites during the Day of the Dead. And when the procession passes you, the spectators follow behind. They follow the procession to the gravesite. Those spectators, they are the second line. Cool. That's why we call it a second line.
That's awesome. Yeah.
So
that's really cool. See, now we're getting some nice Louisiana history in here. I will tell you, when I was asking you the question about the region, is there is nothing that will make me buy a game faster than it being Pacific Northwest themed, which we have been spoiled. We have a glut of them right now. I will say there's a lot of great designers out here too. Beth Sobel, you know, like artists that are from here. I very, very much love the PNW theming too. So that's great. Love that.
I really want there to be a Mardi Gras board game,
Yeah, why? I can't believe there
which
isn't one.
so I can tell you what mechanics it would incorporate, but I'm not a board game designer.
Hmm.
You would think after as many designers that as designers I'm friends with that I've
Yeah,
spoken to, I listen to them talk about their design story. You think I could design a board game, but
yeah, it's
no,
hard.
I'm really good at talking about board games, not designing them. Yep. Those who can't talk about it.
Of course, those who can't pod, yeah,
Exactly.
Those-
No, you got it, right?
yeah, that's
That is
great.
why
I
you're
love it.
joining the podcast community
Yes.
yourself, right? Hey,
Yep.
so let me ask you, in all the laundry list of games we've just gone through,
Hmm.
do you have a favorite board game mechanic that you're in?
That's a great question. I think the easy answer for me would be like tableau building. Like I
Okay.
love building a tableau. I think if I'm being truthful, because you asked me what got me into the modern board game earlier,
I
but
did.
when I was thinking about this, like how did I get into the hobby as a gamer? I couldn't help but think I have to go back to TCGs, and I think
Mm,
like I discovered Yu-Gi-Oh when I was like 11 or 12, and just know there's an era in a home in a church, a god-fearing home. There was no Yu-Gi-Oh, no Pokemon. They were Japanese demons. There is a tradition, there's a trading card game out there called Redemption, that is literally like biblical card games, and I had all these cards and in my no one in my friend group would play with me, so I had to play my mom and
right.
just like cast Pillar of Salt on her all the time. It's like Noah's Ark cards and stuff. But Yu-Gi-Oh was like the worst culprit because the back of the card, it sends you to the shadow realm or whatever. But
Yeah.
but by the time I got 11, 12, it's anime, it's everybody's doing, like, I loved Yu-Gi-Oh. And the card, looking back on it now, the cards are tiny. They're like Japanese size. They're not the size of a Magic card, and there's so much text on them. And the thing is, it really is a tableau building. Trading card games are tableau
Yeah.
building, engine building games. It's
Sure.
like you're getting a lot of cards out, you're triggering off of other cards, and that is the games that I gravitate towards. But my top 5 games are all card games, very much card based. I really do love engine building, tableau
Okay.
building. I would say my, like, not my favorite, but one that I've been just every game I've played in this genre I've been really liking lately is auction and bidding also. So I want to give auction and bidding a shout out. I've been really
Okay.
enjoying that too. Yeah.
So Reggie and I are going to take you on a journey across
Mm,
all mechanics and all board games.
yes.
We will name the entire oeuvre of board games
Yes.
by the time
Every
this
single
is
one.
over.
The whole board game geek mechanism catalog.
Yep. So now comes, this is evolved. If you guys remember 11, 11 weeks ago, I had bands and she helped me launch the series. Since then, this question has evolved, and many of you have heard this question. It is a two-parter.
Okay.
It's a two-parter because I love you and have compassion for you. And I realize that the first part is difficult. Do you have a favorite board game of all time?
Yes.
If not, okay, great. And I want to hear
Great.
about it because I also want to hear the second part. Do you have a favorite board game right now that's hitting your table constantly?
That's great. That I do enjoy both of those. I have great friends, but my
So
favorite
be
board
on the
game,
lookout for that
yeah,
one.
my favorite board game is Wingspan, and I think
Okay.
people within the hobby can love Wormspan more. I've got the dragon on the t-shirt here. Finspan came out this year as well, at the very beginning of this year. But Wingspan for me is my favorite board game. And I think
Okay.
if I were to, it's going to be tough for me to do a top 10s in the future because I just don't see a game supplanting it because it has so much emotional and sentiment. Like it really dove me into the hobby. I love birds. Like that's a big thing. Like I got into 2 hobbies around the pandemic, seriously, and that was bird watching and
Mm,
board games. And then
okay.
and then I discover a game that is literally both of those things together, and it has 3 expansions. And so Wingspan is my favorite game. It is sold 2 million copies, very popular. It's like saying you like Superman, which is kind of tough, but it just is my favorite board game.
Nice. Wingspan. I don't think we've talked about Wingspan since the beginning of the series.
Oh, great.
Yeah, it hasn't come up. Solid
Yeah.
game. It's a strong game.
Hmm.
Yeah. I don't have anything to say good or bad about him. It's like
So
liking Superman. You're
it is. It is. It really, and that's what's so funny is like, I like Batman, I like Iron Man, I don't like Cap or Superman, but Wingspan for me, it just evokes so many feelings. And I think when I really sit down and think about my favorite games, a lot of it comes down to just I like that every single time I play, I'm gonna have a different combination of things in front of me.
right.
And that I think that's what you might call BDE games, big deck energy games, do when they have a lot of cards, and that's what TCGs do. It's like I can make 100 deck commander deck for Magic the Gathering, and it's going to play so different every single time I play. So I really do enjoy that a lot.
and by the
Yeah.
way, Commander's the only way to play Magic the
Yeah,
Gathering.
of course. It is.
Yeah. Okay. If it's the only way my wife will play Magic, then done.
That's the way to go. Wow.
Yeah.
I even have a bird themed commander deck. After Bloomborough came out, and then there's a lot of the Lord of the Rings Eagles are in there. It's really fun. It's actually a solid deck.
So my wife has a cats only
great
commander deck. We got to get the cats and birds together. That's just going to be.
That's
I
great.
could just sit here. I could sit here and commentate while you play, and
that'd be great.
And so Reggie just tapped 1 green mana and 2 blue to play his I don't know
what the birds are. Yeah, that's like whatever Sylvester versus Tweety match off.
What about a board game today? That's like hitting your table a lot right now.
Oh man, this is a tough question. I feel like this is tougher. Yeah, because
okay.
So I'm between two. I'm gonna go. And I've talked about both of these. That's why I was trying to come up with something maybe I haven't touched on lately. But this is a game that like I haven't been smitten by a game in a long time.
Well, that's a good feeling.
Yeah, it was just like when you're a game where you're learning the rules. And this is the cool thing about being so well versed in the hobby is when you're learning the rules and someone's teaching you like, I'm going to love this, I love being able to like read a rule book and be like, oh, this is my kind of game, or it's not. But that game is a Stefan Feld, my second Stefan Feld ever. I love Castles of Burgundy, Rolling Reggie. The second one is Carpe Diem. Have you played Carpe Diem?
I have not.
Okay. Yeah. It has a very similar depot kind of to Castles of Burgundy, but it's more like a rondel. It's a very easy drafting thing. You're taking these tiles, they make these buildings. We're kind of like Roman patricians or something like that.
Okay.
And you build these tiles, and a lot of the buildings are a size of 2. And when you cap, the half of the building with the other half of the building, it triggers an effect. Very Stefan Feld. You get all these different things. But there's also like this prestige track. Excuse me. And on the prestige track, the person who's on top or furthest is going to be first player, also straight out of Castles of Burgundy. But my favorite thing is it's got every single time you play, it's got all these random scoring cards that come out in a random order, and they each have a semicircle on either side. And at the end of each round, I think it's 4 rounds, you get to take whoever's in first player turn order gets to take their disc and puts it between any 2 cards, and they get to score those 2 specific conditions.
Wow.
And so then they score those 2 conditions, and then that location is blocked for the rest of the game. So that might be 3 grapes and how many yellow buildings do you have? And I have both those things a lot. But now I can never get those 2 again the next 3 rounds, and neither can anyone else. But I can get, any other side. It's really, really clever. I wish more games did that. That one little scoring mechanism is so clever. It's like 40 minutes, completely language independent, which I'm finding I like a lot more too. I love cards, obviously, but games that are just like boom, symbols, great. Carpe Diem, that's been one. I've blinged it out a lot, by the way, too. I play with iron clays instead of the victory point cards. That's a big important thing. It comes with these like tiny cards that just are just not it. And I learned it on iron clay, so that's the problem. Then I bought these cinch bags, like silky velvety bags to pull the tiles out of, because it didn't come with those. There's that.
My wife, because she crafts a lot, she sews, she quilts, she needlepoints, she crochets, she makes all those bags for us for games.
You know what? My wife is an amazing crochetist or whatever you want to call it. I should have her make some bags. That'd be
You
great.
should. You
Crochetist?
totally crochet.
Crochet in?
Uh, okay. So it's all right. So it's funny that we're talking about this because I'm going to
Yeah.
talk about someone who is a crafter, who's a
Mm,
mistress of cosplay,
mm.
and yet she works for Queen Games. So,
Awesome.
guys, if you guys go back to episode 145, she's the second in the series. This is Rachel Mullen.
Awesome.
She works for Queen Games.
That's awesome.
And so, Stefan Feld is, I mean, he's all
He's
his
got
games.
the city collection. Yeah, he's
Right.
got so much there. Yeah.
So she and I, after we were done recording, she's going to try to help connect me with Stefan and get him on the show in 2026, because that would be cool.
I'd like to be in this. I'll be silent. My mic can be off. I'll just listen. I just want to be there live, to talk to him. Tell him how amazing Carpe Diem is.
We'll get you in the live audience.
I want to shout out crafting, though. I've always felt myself as just not artistic.
Yeah.
I never played an instrument, but since board gaming, I do a little print and play. I like to laminate like player aids and stuff. I do a lot of different things crafting wise that I think I never would have done without this hobby, And I'm like on the precipice of becoming a miniature painter, and I just can't afford another hobby. Because that's a hobby within a hobby.
It is.
But there's a lot of overlap. There's a Venn diagram of like crafting and board games that I think is bigger than people might give credit for.
I've got Nemesis Retaliation that's unpainted. I've got Legends Academy finally came in, and it's partially painted. We've got Ether Fields by Awaken Realms that is unpainted. Because these campaign games, because my wife's the primary. What has happened is my wife and I were doing painting together.
Yeah.
And then we realized that I don't have the pages for it. So she's relegated me to priming and lacquering at the end.
Oh man, you're just a prime like machine.
Right. Look, I can prime minis like
nobody's business.
If you're gonna play a campaign game with us, she's gonna have everything painted beforehand.
Awesome.
Because what she loves is you're playing Frosthaven or Gloomhaven, and you retire your character and you open up the miniature box. She wants that mini to be painted.
Yeah.
And you get the joy of watching you go, whoa. Yeah.
So
I love it.
You're a 2-player, like you and your wife play mostly together, right?
Almost exclusively. We've got a local group here that comes. So we're in the middle of a Frosthaven campaign. We play a bunch of other games as well, but we're the couple where so two things are guaranteed to happen. One is if we're talking to a vendor, publisher, designer, etc., my wife's going to ask the first question: how does it play it too?
Yeah, great question.
If you say there's a dummy third player, she's going to turn around and walk away from you.
I also am not a big fan of the dummy third player, I have to admit.
Yeah, just it's not good. So we love 2 players. The second thing that will happen, this has been a frustration for me for some time now. When we go to big conventions, it is unfortunate, not to be a downer, but I like to be realistic. Let's keep this conversation. We're still victims of systemic sexism in this industry. And if we go up to a vendor at a convention and that person looks at me, like if my wife asks about, tell me your new game, and they talk to me the whole time.
Yeah. Let me talk to the real gamer is what they're thinking subconsciously.
Yeah. And to be honest, I kind of clock out.
Yeah.
I get more angry than she does now. Just because as a woman, she's used to that, unfortunately. And I just I walk away, or I pretend like I'm looking at something else. And those are the two things that happen. She's going to ask that question, and that will inevitably happen. And it's just
that's such an interesting thing that it is still pervasive. And I was going to talk about solo gaming here, so I'll lead into that in a second. But I want to address what you said. That's interesting. Like my wife is the most gracious, lovely person when it comes to my hobby. Like this is not her hobby. She's played more games with me than, according to my BG stats, she's played more games with me than anyone, even my closest buddies. And she's never going to say like, I'm excited to play a game tonight, right? Which is my biggest reason why I think I am a solo gamer also. But because of that, I think, and all my buddies who are video game guys, which is what I came from, the video game world,
Okay.
I think of men, so I know when I started in this hobby, I was ready to like explain games and be like, oh, here's what you can do on your turn and all this thing to women. And then I'm like, I start going to conventions and I start hanging out with women who are gamers that are way, way more intense gamers than I am and have way higher taste, So it's just like you learn really quickly if you're actually paying attention that it's like that dynamic. But you have to be aware. But like I said, my wife is, we will play weeknight games. She loves a sea salt and paper. That is what she's in the mood for, and she's always in the mood to play a game that she knows, And I
get that. Yep.
Yes, and I unfortunately am just like I'm an addict. I would rather play 10 new games than a game I love 10 times. Like it is just how my brain works. Like I like the discovery. I like the potential of learning a new mechanism. That is where my brain, and my wife's the opposite. So that being said, sometimes it's just like Wednesday night and I'm just like, I want a crunchy, complex experience. And my wife is not up for that. And I don't want to subject and torment her to that. And so that is where, I sit down and I play a Wingspan solo against the Automa, which is a very, very good Automa, or a Marvel Champions against the villain deck. Those are the type of games that I think I really get satisfaction out of solo. And that's the biggest reason that there's more nights where I want to play games than my partner in my player 2 in the house does. And so then
that's fair.
I end up, that's how I kind of like relented on solo games. And now I've kind of gone in the deep end there.
Oh yeah, I get that. So that means that when you meet somebody at a convention, the first question you ask is, how does it play it solo?
Well, and that's the thing. If I'm buying a new game, I do actually take that into consideration. So speaking of Stonemaier games, I think they do a great job with the Automas. They just came out with a trick-taking game called Origin Story. It's a trick-taking, engine-building, tableau building game that's superhero themed, which I'm also I love cape stuff, as the internet calls it. I'm censoring cape stuff. And it's the Wormspan artist who she does this like amazing watercolory. I don't know if you have seen the Origin Story stuff. And I was like, wow. Yet. A lot of trick takers are 3 to 5, 3 to 6. And I'm like, it has a solo mode.
Whoa.
And I'm like, how does that work? But I was willing to buy that sight unseen for very cheap, $20 if you're a Stonemaier champion, by the way. We're not sponsored. We're not shilling for them. But I'm just saying,
but we are looking for sponsors. Both Reggie and I would love to chat with you.
Yes. Yeah. But my point is, I am more willing to buy a game sight unseen if it is solo mode. That's my big thing. Is like,
I got it. Yep.
If it's if 2 is the minimum, and I can't even learn it on my own. Like I like even just learning games of solo mode, because she also doesn't want me checking the rule book in the middle of the teach. I have to know it really well to present it to her so that she's not like that. That's wasted time. That's not efficient. And that's how it gets there. So
I am fortunate in that I married a woman who is both 1,000 times smarter than me and is all about the rules and the rule book. So I'm the tabletop princess.
Yeah, like a passenger princess. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're just like, I just want to show up and play the game.
She reads the rules. If I even think about picking up the rule book to check a rule.
Wow. Yeah. That we are the complete opposite, roles in our households. That's crazy. That's great.
It happens, but this is what I love about the community. This is what I would love.
It's awesome.
So, because I want to get to your thoughts on the community.
Yeah.
Talk to me about your transition from becoming just a casual gamer to being an intentional content creator.
Great question. Yeah, I was listening to one of your episodes about this. And I'm like, it's one of those weird things. You said the same thing. I was like, how did I even why did I start? But I will go back to just I was always a video game guy. Like that was it. I think that's the biggest reason that board games were off my radar, that I didn't become a board gamer earlier, is that it just didn't hit me with enough stimulus at the time of PC gaming. I went from Game Boy to GameCube to Xbox 360 competitive games, and then PC. Like about 2013 on, I've been a PC gamer. I still play PC games with my buddies. So I started streaming video games, actually. And so I started on Twitch. under the
Okay.
moniker Chrono, which is, it comes from a League of Legends reference, actually, is what it is. And so I
Huh.
played video games. And in COVID era, I was like working from home on my computer all day. And then I would stream, for 3 or 4 hours at night. Like I was on a screen so much. So I think that kind of helped me go towards board games. But in that same era, when I wanted to make an Instagram account, which I think was like, I wrote this down here, June 2022, I made an Instagram account. And I did not.
For the
Yeah.
record, I have the same date because I checked your
You went and
stats
looked.
too.
Okay, great.
Yes.
Thank you. You went and saw my first one. Yeah, of course. You're thorough. You would have done your research. Like, this guy knows his stuff. This is 150 plus episodes here, peeps. But funnily enough, with your Meeple to Meeple too, I was like, the one thing I don't want to name myself after is a Meeple, because at the time, I want to give a shout out to Foster the Meeple. They were like the biggest YouTube channel that was on my feed, and I was watching them like all the time. And Jeff and Jamie. And so I was like, I should just do a different. I was like, should I be punny? But also with Chrono, like people, when people would say my name, Reggie, like it was so weird to them. Like people could not see me as anything but Chrono. Like when you stream under a moniker,
Sure.
like that's your name,
Yeah.
It was like a stage. And so I wanted to put my real name in it. So rolling was like rolling dice. And that's
Right.
where that came from.
I like it though.
Yeah, I like it. I like it too. I think it's people mix it up with rolling with Reggie a lot. I think there's a couple people who do rolling with so and so, but just rolling Reggie, that was Instagram. And I just started posting pictures of games I was playing. I got to that, I had a couple games, and then you bang the dice games in there, King Domino's in there, Sushi Go.
Yep.
And my shelf was like, it was one shelf in the linen closet of our townhome. And my wife was like, this is too much. You need to stop. Now I have an entire room, like talk about little did she know.
Right.
Like I had one shelf, and that was like, what are you doing? This is too big of a collection.
So you were a streamer before you were a tabletop gamer.
Yeah, I actually was. Yeah.
It was a natural fit for you. Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't know why I started. I truly don't know why I started Instagram. I just was like, I just wanted to share the board game. And so I started doing it. And then I have to give a big shout out to, you probably know them, Our Family Plays Games, Mick and Starla. And they invited me to do some videos for their channel while I was just an Instagram account.
Okay.
And that was a huge impetus to get me confident behind an iPhone camera. It was just on an iPhone. Like I wasn't doing anything special. And so, my first YouTube channel or video came out in January 2023. So I've actually only really, we're going on 3 years here now that I have been making YouTube content. But that was kind of the story. It went from like Twitch video games to making an Instagram to making videos.
So what's your favorite or your preferred platform that you like to create content right now?
I still think YouTube is my favorite platform.
Yeah.
I just enjoy the process of making a video. I have a trillion ideas. I have so many ideas that but just no time to make them all. And I consume, and the thing is, YouTube is my biggest consumption as well. You're like, I don't even have Instagram on my phone anymore. Like I just check it on my browser because it's just a time sink. If I'm going to do something on my phone, it's usually watching YouTube or just looking at my BG stats collection. We all know that. I get my screen time. It's like messages, YouTube, BG stats. My wife's like, how in the world are you spending 2 hours a week on BG stats? But I do, and I think that's why, because I watched YouTubers first. I love and like shout out to All You Can Board. Those guys haven't made videos in a lot. They're on like a long hiatus. I love them. The two Canadian dudes, they made they basically shaped my taste. I think a lot of my like family weight, medium weight taste comes from them. And Actual All, British one who you've probably watched too, very, very funny big YouTuber too. He's solo also, which I think having a partner, which we've talked about with your podcast, it's more fun. And I will tell you, like, the third platform I have now is podcast, which you already mentioned, Board States. And Jazz and I have just been doing this because we're on opposite sides of the country. PJ and I were talking about this before, because it's like, it's tough. You got to plan time zones. You got to, being on a platform like this, you got to have rapport. And so, but we've been really enjoying it because it's just more long form. You can, as you are all witnessing right now with your ears, you can yap for extended periods of time. So I think
Boy,
I've been
can
really
you.
enjoying.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
That,
So
you
I
know,
do like
it's
podcasts too.
the time zones is, I don't know that people realize. It's really funny. So when we first approached the podcast and decided that this is what we were going to do, right?
Mm-hmm.
What I have experienced is people are like, just do a podcast. Or people are like, you should just do a podcast. You know, I hear that all the time. I'm like, you don't just wake up and do this. This is not like, it's not, we've talked about, this has come up so much throughout the series. Content creation,
Yeah.
right, is hard work. Thing is hard work. And if you're going to have a global audience and your guests are all over the world, you want
Mm-hmm.
to talk about, so you're lucky because your partner on your podcast is
Mm-hmm.
in New Jersey, so there's a 3-hour time difference. There will always be a 3-hour time difference. I have no idea what's going to be the time difference from day to day and week to week when I'm recording. Am I
Yeah.
talking to Australia? Am I talking to
Yeah, that's
you?
crazy.
You're 2 hours behind
Yeah.
me. Where am I going to be this week? Right.
Yeah.
So my wife is always like, when are you recording?
I don't know.
You know?
I mean, that's more work. That is true. I didn't even think about that. Like, I think that's one thing about bringing on guests. Like, you are doing a lot more preemptive work to bring
Yes.
those guests on than Jazz and I are. It's like we can meet at like, we're meeting usually at like 6 my time, so it's 9 p.m. for him, and it's not too bad. But I'll say, talking about TikTok and Instagram, like you were saying, just content creation, like saying what's my favorite. Instagram is my least favorite. If you go to my Instagram, like there's not that many posts on there. I like to post on my story. I like to tell people what I'm playing day to day. But like making reels and making TikToks for me is exhausting. Like it is that attention to detail on a phone,
Yes.
or doing it on an iPad or whatever. Whereas like doing a long form podcast or doing a long form YouTube channel, like editing that, I find more relaxing, less stressful. That is interesting. Yeah.
It is less stressful, but I think it takes up more time.
Of course.
Right.
Yeah.
Because you basically have to listen to the entire episode unfiltered so that you can catch everything, right?
Yeah.
You don't want to rely solely on the automation. Plus, trying to find that really sweet soundbite for that Reggie. Like, what was that really cool thing that Reggie said?
Yeah.
Where was that? Because I'm not sitting here taking notes going at 51 minutes.
At 51 minutes, he said, yeah.
No.
And there's nothing worse than your own voice. Like I hate listening. I hate listening back to it. Like that's one thing maybe that the Instagram, or like if you're, because like there's some great people out there who are making like beautiful reels that I'm like,
Beautiful.
Thinking of the number of shots that you have to do this blows my mind. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's shout out Dana from
Okay,
Better Mood Board Games.
I want it to be known that is who I was thinking in my head was Dana. I'm just saying that out loud. Okay.
I knew who you were talking about.
That's what I'm referencing.
When I think about the best reels and the most beautiful images and cinematography on Instagram right now, hands down, I'm going to say it. It's Dana from Better Mood Board Games. There isn't anyone that comes close. And she does it all using her phone.
iPhone. Yeah, crazy. And when I see just knowing what it would take to do that, I'm just like, you're better than me. I can't, I just can't do it. I can't do it. That's awesome.
And I've been promising it. Dana will be on in the new year.
Awesome.
It's really funny because she's like 3.5 hours north of me. And just trying to get, the holidays. It's been a tumultuous year. I'm ready for 2025 to be over.
Yeah, yeah. At least it's not 45 minutes, in Netherlands. You know what I mean?
Right?
That would be tough.
Right? So if
you could hop on a train in Netherlands, that would be just way harder.
Right? That's so hard. It's so
they have
difficult.
It so hard there with their free health care.
Iris, 45 minutes is just so long. If Reggie packed up his family and I packed up mine and we moved to the Netherlands, we'd never see you because we live
45 minutes.
But by the way, we love you, Iris.
Yes,
and
you're my favorite.
That is why we do that. So let me ask you, I want to ask you about the community.
Cool.
What is it? What is it that you think the community does really well that you're so proud to be a part of it?
Yeah. I think we kind of mentioned it earlier, but like the approachability, like people are truly so nice. And so, I came from Twitch, video games, and like I would, you raid somebody on Twitch, and you try to get into their video game thing. And they'd be like, cool, awesome, thanks. But it's like, it just felt so transactional, and I feel like I can message somebody's story that we follow. We don't know each other. We live literally across the world, and we can start having a conversation. I think the common language of board games, for whatever reason, maybe because it's niche, it's more niche, it's smaller, the common language, it's better.
Yeah.
And I also think we do conventions really well. I think,
yes.
I mean, I went to TwitchCon in like 2019 or something like that, and it was, I had fun, but like nothing compares to like I go to Dice Tower West typically every year in Vegas. And it's a smaller con, like relative to the big boys, but 3,000 to 4,000 people, and there's enough of a hall to check out. But also, you just get to sit down and play with so many people.
Yep.
Yeah.
People talk about the big boys, right? They talk about Gen Con, they talk about Essen Spiel, they talk about UKGE.
Mm-hmm.
But here's the one thing about those big conventions. You know what most of them don't have is that open gaming,
or it just there's no tables available if there is one. Yeah,
I have one criticism of Gen Con, and I guess I'm vocalizing it for the first time. But
Great.
having gone to Gen Con since 2017,
wow,
I have one complaint. Gen Con touts itself as the best 4 days in gaming. I don't believe that is true at all. I believe
he said it here first, people.
Yeah,
he said it. Yeah.
It was true.
Yeah.
It's not true anymore. It is the best 4 days in the gaming industry.
That's interesting. That's a distinct difference, though.
I don't get much gaming done at Gen Con.
Yeah.
But I can go to Origins, and there's open gaming with a beautiful games library, and it is right adjacent to the vendor hall because it's all there.
And I heard their food carts were amazing this year, or food trucks or whatever. Origins?
The food trucks are at Gen Con.
Okay, that's Gen Con. Okay.
And the food trucks were amazing at Gen Con.
Okay.
I mean, Gen Con's a bigger beast.
To give them credit, yeah.
To give them credit, right? I want to game, for me, and this is why I do the podcast. This is how the series came about. It's all about nurturing community. It's all about overcoming my personal failings, which I talked about in my announcement, little 4-minute video back in October. It's about sitting down across the table and having a shared experience with Reggie.
Yeah.
Right? Seeing you in the flesh, that's real.
That's great.
And I want that. I don't want a hug and, oh, you got a meeting.
Yeah.
Now, there is a business. I understand there's a business behind all this. So I don't take any. That's why I say Gen Con might be the best 4 days in the industry, but it's not the best 4 days in gaming anymore.
Yeah. That's interesting. Origin, just to put it out there, Origins will be the convention I go to next year instead.
Good, because I will be there.
Okay. Oh, that's awesome. Okay, so we'll have to make sure we touch about this. I'll you know what? I'll give a big announcement here. I hopefully have told my community by the time that this episode drops.
Yeah.
But my lovely wife, the Queen, is like due in January with a baby girl, our first child. Yes. And so my normal conventions, which again starts, first of all, we're so excited. This is going to be amazing. I can't believe we got a player 3 coming in the house.
Wow,
I'm so excited.
Player 3 at the beginning of 2026. How amazing is that?
It's gonna, like I'm so excited and petrified. But also, I go to OrcaCon usually in January. I go to Dice Tower West is in March, and like none of that's gonna happen. I have made the agreement with a newborn is like maybe by June I'll be able to go to Origins. That's probably gonna be my only convention of the year, But anyway, there you go. There's the announcement. The Meeple to Meeple people know that there'll be a little Rolling Reggie.
That's exciting
in the hub. Yeah. But board games do 3 things for me, and so I wanted to address that. Like, and so engage my brain, and I think and stimulate it in such a way that I just not much else has done for me in my adult life. It's an excuse to socialize. I think that's a big thing. It's like, hey, let's have a game night, and it's like we can open up a bottle of wine, I can make some dinner, and then at least we're not just sitting around yapping. We can at least do something while we're hanging out. And also, it's an analog activity, and for me, increasingly, all I want to do is like get, like I said, not down, deleting social media apps on my phone. Like I want to get off of my phone. Like it's just something that I'm doing. I'm on it too much. So those three are big, and I just can't help but agree with you.
I love that. I love that. That was a really succinct description of not only what the community does well, but why it brings it to you. I love it. Let me ask you about the flip side.
Yeah.
What does the community it needs to work on?
Yeah. I have one big one, which you kind of touched on with the industry part. And I was trying to look up what the term is called. It's called choice overload.
Mm-hmm.
Or another term for it in psychology, analysis paralysis, actually, in real life. But like, there's so many games and there's so many posts. Like this is, if we're talking about the content creator side and also the community side, like there's just so much hype. There's the hotness. There's so many Kickstarters. Like, and at the same time, there's these amazing gem games, you know, that have been tried and true from 2011, you know, that are amazing.
Right.
And I can't pretend like I'm not a high priest in the cult of the new, because I am also. But at the end of the day, like half the hobby is like shopping and storing your games, you know, more than it is actually playing the games on your table. And like I keep a really lean collection as for a board gamer, but when I tell my normal people, they're like 200 games, like you're a psychopath, you know. And I think your idea of playing backlogs that you mentioned a long time ago now is so genius, and that like we need to start an LLC, like the backlog boys. You know, we're gonna come in and play your game. But Bonds was right, because she was like, you have to also be willing to teach it, you know. And if you're not the rules guy, like so we gotta figure that part out. Yeah.
It is true. You know who else is going to join that group? And that's Lincoln Hop. We talked
from
about
BGG.
this very thing. Yeah. We talked.
Nice.
Yeah, we talked about this. I shared with him the whole concept of the board game backlog and how we play all of our games a minimum once a year. And 300 for us seems to be the sweet spot.
Yep.
You know, but
good for you. So you have 300 games and you're getting them all played at least once a year.
Yeah. So
that's crazy.
Yeah, we're at like 94.2%.
Yeah.
Which means we got to be hurrying because we got like 2 days left in the year.
Yeah, for sure.
But we're close.
Yeah.
Last year we played it 100%. It was the first time, but we're usually in the upper 90s. It also helps you to know what games you need to just sell.
Of course. And I think that's a great, I go back and look. I mean, that's why I made a video on like why I use BG stats. And that was one big thing, is like, I love being able to look at and see like, when's the last time I played this game? Oh, I haven't played this since 2023. Like, can I justify keeping this in my collection? Like, is it sentimental or what? So yeah, that's big. The only other thing I would say, you know, I think we talked about, you know, women and diversity. I do think is a big factor. That we can be more welcoming. That's always a given. I think we should be more welcoming. But one thing about the welcoming side that I really try to combat is people, and this is something that's in a lot of hobbies. You know, it happens in golf, it happens in billiards, probably. I don't know. But people forget what it's like to be a beginner. You know, it's that they call it like the curse of knowledge or the curse of expertise. You know, you have that math professor that's trying to teach algebra 1, you know, and they can't do it because they just can't even imagine what it's like to not remember. And so with board games, I think it's really pronounced. And one sentence I've been really trying not to say is, it's super simple. Like when I'm teaching, like, it's super simple, because then as soon as you say that, people feel dumb because you're, and we're going to bring up Wingspan again, but like infamous clip. Do you know what I'm about to say? The infamous clip of Mandy Patinkin, you know, who played in Inga Montoya. His son is teaching him and his wife Wingspan. They're reading the rules and they are laughing with hysterics.
There you go.
Because because it's so complex to them, you know. And any board gamer would say Wingspan is a gateway game, you know. And I think that's one thing that I made a video on, being the absolute beginner's guide to board games. Like, I just think there's a lot that you now have subconsciously on the under the iceberg that you're not realizing. When you say it's a trick taking game or you say it's a deck building game, you automatically know half the rules as a veteran board gamer, you know. And so then you're like, this is so easy. Like, why are you confused? You know, like, that's a baby game or that's a gateway game. Like the snobbery of veteranhood, I think, is something I that grinds my gears since you gave me a platform, you know.
That is fair. We dedicated an episode. I really wish I could tell you which one it is. We talked about how do you talk to non-gamers about our hobby without using board game lingo. It was a great conversation. Guys, go back and check that out.
Yeah, I gotta find that myself.
I will tell you that it's before episode 100, so it's audio only because that was back in the day. Speaking of back in the day, you referred to yourself as the high priest of the cult of the new just a moment ago, which I love, by the way.
I stole that from Big Posty. You got to give Big Posty his credit. Yeah, on YouTube. Yeah.
I'm the hierophant of the classics.
Beautiful.
So it's the opposite, right?
Love it.
When this whole concept of community, this whole concept of this series came about, we were talking about back then tariffs on China, 140%. What's going to happen? The cult of the new that our content is completely dependent upon, right? It's like, and yet you hear people talk about it all the time, but we don't play Catan anymore, and we don't play name the classic, right? We don't get to play, and I want to see those games hit your table. My challenge to the community is that you pull out Alhambra, you pull out Aquaromana, you pull out Twilight Struggle, right? Play that with your spouse, right? Let's they're on your shelf for a reason. You fell in love with them. That love did not disappear. It just got buried by the new.
And 100%. And they build, they're building on the like shoulders of giants a lot of times too, you know. I am very much getting to the point like Carpe Diem is only like 6 or 7 years old, but I have really been trying to get into these old school games. There's a guild on Board Game Geek called the OGs, which is old school German style. Do you know this one?
I know them. Yes.
Yeah, and like every game on this list I love, and it's like I'm finding that a lot of game again. Now we're talking about problems of the industry. Where I'm just agreeing with you here. Something I find is that every game that comes out, a lot of the games that come out are adding complexity for the sake of complexity, you know. And I think a game that has streamlined rules. I mean, my ideal game is like a medium weight 45-minute per player game. Like that is perfect for me. And so I just think sometimes with all the more complexity, and if it's got an hour-long setup, like I am out, you know. So I think those older games, like it's old because it's good. It stood the test of time.
Are you prepared? Because this is real talk now, right? Please understand this is coming from someone who does not have a child. So I do not understand what fatherhood is like. Are you prepared for how much that's going to change in the new year when your child arrives?
No.
Yeah. Okay.
No, Alex.
Okay.
No, I'm not mentally prepared. I already feel so time poor, to be honest. But it's one of those things where I'm like, I just by the age of 5, a shout out to Board Game Blitz. Again, we were talking about podcasting and everything. They do a great like 30-minute episode. But Ambi, she's got 2 sons, and she always talks about all the games that they play and like teaching them games earlier and just like modifying rules and stuff. So I'm very excited about that. My wife is like trying to tamper my expectations. They're like, she's not going to be playing a big Euro at 2 years old, Reginald.
No, she's definitely not. So I think what's going to happen here is, based on my understanding, and I would send you back to, I think it's episode 127.
Okay.
With Susie from Games with Beanie. We talk about bringing your family to game conventions and the strategies of being able to go to the board game as a content creator, but managing your parental duties and ensuring that your kids are having a good time as well. Now, you've got a few years before that. I understand.
I know. I got some time. And what people tell me who are parents is like newborns, you know, they kind of just sit around a lot, you know. So there's time to, if you're a solo gamer, like that's a good time to get some stuff in. And it's also not putting on headphones. Like I'm being attentive. I can hear her.
Right.
And also, again, this is all in theory. This is all theoretical. You know, in practice, we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Right. But you know what? You've got it. You're going to do well. So getting to the end here, I want to ask you, I've got two more real kind of questions I want to ask. First of all, is when you pivoted your content creation from video games to board games, and I think you've mentioned them, but who really inspired you the most?
Oh, got it. Okay. I'm sorry. I'm gonna shout them out again. Yeah, thank
Yes.
you. Yeah, definitely have to give Our Family Plays Games a big shout out. You know, their OFPG Voices team was inspiring even though I was on it because there were just so many people from so many different walks of life, and it was just all about like showing how diverse the amount of the gaming community actually is, you know, more than what you might think of when you say imagine a board gamer in your head. So they're great. Got to give them, because they really inspired me to like make videos, because I had to make some for their channel first. I got All You Can Board. If you guys are listening to this, I think one of them had a kid, which was a big reason why they stopped making content. So I'm like, I hope
Oh, okay.
hope that's not me, deadline, but who knows? But they did so many great videos. I thought they just were so awesome on YouTube. And my personal favorite YouTuber is Actual Law, who's a British guy, and he makes these just incredible videos that are just so well produced. And he's got an editor now and everything. But I was watching them really, those three I was watching really early on, and that kind of was like inspiration for that. But I will also say, as just a content creator tip, which again, I still don't really view myself as a content creator, but because I consume so much content, is that, you know, I watch video game people, I watch like sports channels, I watch booktubers, you know, I watch these people in different fields, and I get, you know, you can learn from anybody, you know. And I think that's a big thing that I've learned when it comes to making videos, is that I've taken complete, I do a board game tag in the middle of the year. It's like one of my most successful videos every year. I tag a bunch of people, the mid-year board game tag every year
Hmm.
in about June. And I took that strictly from a booktuber. You know, that was someone who, the booktube community did that. And so I don't know what we are, BG Tube, Meeple Tube. I don't know what the YouTube community.
That's a great question.
Yeah,
I don't know. My last question to you
yeah.
is what advice do you have to someone who approaches you is like, "Hey, Reggie, I'm thinking about really getting intentional about my content for my board games."
Wow, yeah. Definitely learn from anybody, like consume a lot of content, of course. It's like they always say, like good directors have to watch a lot of movies, you know. And I do
They
think
do.
that like good authors have to read a lot of books. You do have to consume a lot to actually, I do think there's a lot of people out there. And I sometimes get my feelings hurt because I'm like, I'm watching all my friends out there, you know, and I'm commenting, and I do those things. And sometimes I'm like, where are my big content creator friends that I'm watching their videos? But it's not, again, it's not transactional. But sometimes I'm like, what's going on with that? But what I will say is numbers. I think the biggest thing is like and this goes for anything. Like my football coach used to say, like the most insignificant score in football is at halftime. You know, like you should not be looking at the scoreboard to influence how you do things. So what I'm saying is you shouldn't be looking at the subscriber count. You shouldn't be looking at your followers, how many views that thing got. Like, yes, you can use analytics to like inform what videos are doing well or what posts are doing well, if it's reels or TikToks or whatever, what podcasts are doing well. Like maybe I need to do a better title or do something, try something. If it's a lot of experimentation, it's a lot of trial and error. And I just notice my friends who focus on the numbers too much, it's just so hard on your mental. Like it's just such a negative loop where I'm just like, it's okay. And I can tell them all the time, like, why do you care so much about it? But they just do, you know. And it's so hard for me. I'm, you know, I see this as a hobby. And so like taking it too seriously, if you do have a day job, if you are paying your bills, to as a caveat, is a lot. But then same, in that same vein, content output is like, just do it when you have the capacity. Let's shout out my board game bestie, Iris Crimson Board Games, started a channel like a year after me, has like 100 more videos than I have on my channel. And she's just doing great. And she has more subscribers. She does great. And I think that's awesome for her. I have less videos because sometimes I'm in a spurt of I'm making a video a week, and sometimes I haven't made a video for 2 months. And it's just depends on what's going on with life. So I think that's the big thing. Like when you have capacity, and just really don't care about the numbers too much, because it just is not good for your mental health. There's no way.
Well said. Well said. Reggie, thank you so very much. This was a treat for me,
It was a treat for
if
me.
I'm
Thank
being
you.
honest.
Thank you for all these amazing people you're bringing off on your platform.
Thanks.
Like,
Thank you.
I love this idea, like giving people a space to talk, and also keeps it fresh for you. But like, it is more work for you. So I want you listeners to know he is doing way more work than we are doing to bring you this lovely content. So yeah, I really appreciate it.
Yeah. So Reggie, remind everyone where they can find you if they want to reach out to you or collaborate or anything.
As I always say, I am found at rolling.reggie all over the interwebs, but primarily YouTube, Instagram, Blue Sky, not X. And I'm also on a lovely podcast on all platforms with my buddy Jazz called Board States, Board States, with the best logo in the biz, designed by Ken, and it's very cool. So Board States Pod is where I would direct any new people to check us out right now.
Excellent. Guys, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe. I know we just talked about that the numbers don't matter, but I'm doing all this hard work. I'm
still helps, still gives some dopamine,
I need,
still feels good.
I need a little bit. I also need to know what, if this is going to be the thing for the future, I need to see that you're watching. So, and comment. I will comment. I respond.
Give them some new questions. Give them some fun questions to ask. Like, that's great. Like, get some ideas out there. There's going to be a lot of us great people coming up.
How about that? My God, I'm old.
That's great. It's a great reference.
But as always, guys, remember, be kind to each other and let's play more games.
Nos vemos.